finally here with my man Franklin Moss. This is my first interview doing in my series, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited he was available and willing, and we had a pretty good conversation before he ever got on camera. So we're gonna have to revisit some of that stuff, obviously. Cool. So just first things first, just give a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, what we're here for, what we're to talk about.
So my name is Franklin Moss Jr. I am a custom clothier. So that basically means I make custom suits or I design suits,
right.
Or I create a look that's perfect for an individual, right? So this is, I own a company called Franklin Anthony, along with a partner, Anthony, who is not here at the time, of course. But I don't know. I'm also a social media influencer. I have a nonprofit organization where I'm the direct marketing director.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'm just a black man just trying to make it.
Trying to make it in this world. All right. You can be humble if you want to, but I know that you were the Tailor of the Year in Fort Worth.
Tailor
Best of
the
Fort
Year.
Worth.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the
sir.
humility, but we ain't gonna leave it out.
Oh, I appreciate that. I didn't even know you knew, so I wasn't even gonna say anything. No, that's another one.
Okay. Well, yeah, I saw your video. I was like, man, he doing it out there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be like you in Dallas. Maybe I don't even live in Dallas no more, but that's my city, just like Fort Worth is yours. I know you got a lot of love for the city.
For sure.
I can tell the way you talk about it, the way you talk about the people, and just every time I talk to you, it's Fort Worth.
Right.
It's something about Fort Worth, and I know that was a big deal for you to be the best tailor in Fort Worth.
It was, especially coming from the background that I come from.
Right.
Like I was born in Stop 6, which is the hood of Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Raised in Stop 6. Didn't ever moved out until I went to college. But just I have been bred to love Fort Worth. Bred to love Stop 6, but bred to love Fort Worth as a whole, from my parents, from everything that they do in the city. So or have done in the city. Yeah.
Okay. I completely understand. I feel the same way about Dallas. So I was raised in Lancaster.
Okay.
I was born in Dallas, raised in Lancaster, but I lived my life between the two, Dallas and Lancaster. Not much houses in Lancaster, everything else is in Dallas.
Yeah.
So growing up, I grew to love Dallas, and the job I have now, being a firefighter, I got to see another side of the city that I never seen before, and it get real.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even know what that. I have no idea what that type of life looks like.
Yeah.
The firefighter side of it.
It's it's cool to be able to help people. I love it. I love my job. I love most things about my job. It's just if you can put yourself in the mindset of, if you have to call 911, you probably having one of the worst days of your life.
Right.
So that happened. Whatever happened, you call me, and then I come, and it's
because you're first on the scene, right?
Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Like most things we are shootings and stuff like that. We kind of hang out, wait for police.
Okay.
Just to make sure the scene is clear or whatever. But just dealing with that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you see people at their worst times.
Right.
And then you see a side you wouldn't normally see of the city. Like, you're not gonna see this type of stuff on the Visit Dallas campaign.
Yeah, for sure. For
so sure. It kind of made me love the city even more, just because I know I can get in there, touch the people, help them out, stuff like that, so I can actually be a part of the city instead of just adjacent, just living close. Like, I'm actually hands on. But this ain't about me.
Right. Okay.
I got off.
It's
on
all
my,
good, because
I
was about to start asking you some questions.
Yeah. We can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that. But I want to make sure we get the important part out, because this. Just as you think my job is interesting, I think yours is interesting as well as a journey.
That. Yeah.
So speaking of the journey, we'll start for now at the beginning of Franklin and Anthony.
Okay.
And how you actually, even before that, how you got into clothing.
Okay.
I guess you can start from Prairie View and.
So if we're gonna start from the jump, I went to Prairie View A&M University. Graduated 2005. Started a record label. Well, I didn't start it, but my cousin started a record label in 2001.
Okay.
So there's a reason why I brought that up, right? So I used to be a rapper.
Okay.
I was a rapper in 2001. We had artists from all over Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah.
We had Technique, aka Wayne. We had B Hamp. We had Juan. These are artists that were on the radio at the time.
Yeah.
And those that
B Hamp is that Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, Mr. Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
So before he went to Rick, he was with us when he made the song and everything. So, well, I was in the music. I was rapping. I was also one of the owners of the company, and I sat down with Rick from that was over B Hamp at the time, and he was just kind of like, you know what? You have a great appeal in regards to you dress well and you put it out there and a lot of people like it. You need to go into fashion. You need to start hosting some fashion shows.
Okay.
And I was like, that would be a new avenue as an artist to go into the fashion show world. So this is about maybe 9-10 years ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I went to MySpace, I went to Facebook, and I think I did. I went to Facebook.
MySpace.
Yeah, I went back before.
Back.
But I was on MySpace, but I was an artist then, but not that time. So I went to Facebook, and I put in my bio, and I went to Instagram. I put in my bio, host, fashion show host.
Right.
That same week, I put it out there. I got a call to host a fashion show. So I started hosting the fashion shows. While doing that, there was times where there was no stylist on board. So because there was no stylist and they thought I had style, they said, hey, can you step in and be the men's stylist?
Yeah.
So I started doing that, which also had me think, well, if I'm doing this, I need to get deeper into the world so I'd have better connections so I can do my rap in there. So
you still about rap?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started volunteering. As to work backstage as a media head over media. Then I started doing production and producing and then co-directing fashion shows and styling. But I mostly did a lot of styling. And so I was doing fashion shows for major and minor fashion shows and designers. And then that came to a place to where somebody stepped up to me and said, hey, do you want to start making some custom suits? And I said, does that mean I get them for free? And he was like, sure. I mean, you making them. I was like, bet, let's do it. So me coming from a background of business management, I didn't have the sewing skills that were needed. So he was the guy, his name was Keon Anthony. And he was the guy who knew how to sew. He had all this knowledge about fabric and colors and how to do it and how to match it and how to sew, all these great things. So we connected, and basically I was on the business side and he was on the other designer side. But I knew how to make things look well because I was also a previous stylist. So we did that for a while. That's how we got to Franklin Anthony. We created it. We went under another suit company originally. But I told him when we came in, I was like, hey, we're going to branch off eventually. But I want to learn the steps. I want to learn how to do this. And he was like, cool. He took me on his wing. He taught me a lot of good stuff.
Well, that's cool. A lot of people would be like, oh, if they're still playing them, you can't. Yeah.
So and it was Persona. Derek from Persona. I don't know if you know who that is.
Man, I'm out of there.
Well, he's pretty legit. He's very business oriented and very smart about his business. But he helped groom me. I stayed there for about a year and a half. We stepped out. We continued the business. Keon Anthony, he is a great father. He has 6 kids. Wait, 5 or 6 kids. He has a lot. 5 or 6 kids. I cannot remember at this very second. But their track coach. He's a track coach. He's a football coach, and he's a basketball coach. And when you have kids in high school and middle school, and all of them are actively in there, it was taking his time. So he decided to step down to focus on his kids right now until they can get into position.
Because I was thinking like, how?
How is he doing it? There's no time because to track take all your life alone. So he stepped down. I did Franklin Anthony for 2 years by myself. And then Michael Anthony Taylor, who is also an Anthony. He came in about a year and a half ago, and we continued to rock with the business. So that's how Franklin Anthony got to where it
Franklin
is.
Anthony at the end.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's pretty. Are they related? Oh,
No,
Taylor. His last name is Taylor.
Yes, his last name is
Gotcha.
Taylor. Anthony just happened to be his middle name.
Oh, that's lucky.
It's kind of strange because a lot of the people that we work with in this business have an Anthony in their name. No Franklins. There's only one Franklin. It's millions of Anthonys. I was just joking.
Okay,
Kinda.
cool. Yeah. So I guess the official start of the business will be what, 2013?
Of this business,
Yeah.
This business started in 2015. 2015, yeah.
Okay.
The suit company. I mean, me being in that world just in general. 2014.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you told me earlier off camera you went to Prairie View.
Yeah.
I think we've already gotten there. So you weren't originally a business major.
No.
You were a
Electrical engineer.
Yeah.
So I did that because, so when you're in high school and people are teaching you about what to become, just like we talked earlier, and they teaching you about being a doctor, a lawyer, or sports, and if it's not sports, engineers. Engineers the way to go. Nurses is the way to go. So I was always, okay, who made the most money? Engineers. They start off at 50, around 50, 60.
Yeah.
But that's what I want. So that's what I started going to school for.
Yeah.
Immediately got an internship my freshman year with TXU. Was a design engineer with TXU. I actually designed some buildings in Fort Worth.
Okay.
Well, not the whole building. I actually designed the way the electricity got to the building.
Right.
But after 3 years of doing that and kind of learning everything that's into it, it was no passion there. Like I was constantly just bored.
Just part of the machine.
It was just there.
Yeah.
And I knew that this is not something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Right.
So the beginning of my senior year, I changed my degree. And I went to summer school, regular school, fall, winter school. What is next? Spring, then summer school. And I continued, like I just went through school and knocked out business management in 2 years because I was like, I can't stay here forever.
Right.
So I went ahead and did that. And then going into the further part that we talked about and what this is about, when I graduated, I was like, I got my degree.
Yep.
What I do next?
Man, you just in the ocean.
Now I go to Citi, Citibank.
Yeah.
Started working in Citibank and Citi Cards. I got an entry-level position because I had no plan prior to. Entry-level position, the person I'm sitting next to gets paid the exact same amount as me. He just graduated with his GED.
Yep.
We both making 10 an hour, or 9 something? I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was something super low and he was my partner, so that's how I figured out how much he made, how much I made.
Yeah.
It was one of those things to where I got a degree from college and he has a GED.
Yeah.
Not spitting on GED because it's good that he graduated and got what he needed, but it was just the fact that we're sitting here and we make the same amount.
Somebody owes money back to Sally Mae or somebody, and somebody don't.
And I'm paying tuition. That's what my job is for.
Yeah.
So it became one of those things to where the further problem is.
Yeah. So just so we clear about what I'm doing here and why I started doing these videos, just these interviews about Franklin. You like to be called Frank or Franklin?
Just as long as it's respectful.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
So that's why I'm doing interviews like these, just for those jobs, like he was saying, doctors, lawyers, nurses, engineers, those get a lot of attention. Custom clothiers, never heard of it till this year. But you seem like you're doing pretty well.
I'm doing all right.
You enjoy what you do.
I do.
You got passion for it and everything like that. So, and like he was saying, we talked about it earlier. When I graduated from college, I was just out in the world with nothing, no plan, no idea what I wanted to do, right. no real clear idea. Especially with my major being print journalism, and journalism was a dying art.
Right.
By the time I graduated.
Right.
So when I got out, it was like, okay, I got this journalism degree that's probably not gonna get me anywhere, and wherever it gets me is gonna be entry level, making $15,000 to $18,000 a year.
Right.
And I didn't want that. And I had a couple of internships, and I had bad internships, man. I had one of them out here was I won't say the name of the magazine, but it was a small sports magazine, and like from the beginning to the end, it was bad. So the editor of the magazine showed me some of his work, which I had read before under somebody else's name. I'm like, you plagiarized this and put it in your magazine, which I didn't say to him, but I was like, okay, I'll take the opportunity. But so I see that for one, and then another guy at the magazine, I write a story, he steals my story and tries to go get a job.
This is crazy.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, it's cutthroat out here. Like, and they tell you in school, it's cutthroat. Journalism is cutthroat because so many people come out and they have so few positions to offer people. So I noticed that I got that firsthand. The second internship I did, I was going on assignments with this guy, or for this guy, and I was actually still in college. And I would go to these places. I had my little Ford Ranger. I'm driving all across Mississippi, just doing interviews or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna pay you when you get back. I'm like, well, I'm back.
No way.
I'll pay you next week.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go do one more. I'm just like, man, I can't do this no more. I got paid once because it was a bunch of us he didn't pay, but I kind of handed him because I knew where he lived.
I get it. Yeah.
Sir, you said. But after those two things, and then graduating and finding out what they make, and then just not really having a real plan after that, I found myself in a place where I'm like, what now?
Right.
Much like the same place you find yourself in. And one of two or two people in this room kind of found ourselves in the same spot.
Right.
So I guess it's not that uncommon, So that's why I'm making these videos, just so we can help our people explore other avenues and see that it's more to life than just being a doctor, lawyer, nurse, or engineer.
So before then, I was in the banking industry for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I was constantly doing banking. Well, I was constantly working and being at this job, and I had my own thrill outside. So I was, at the same time, I was doing the suit company, mm-hmm. and I was doing that. So my passion was no longer in that. So it was just another job that I went into because I knew I could make some money, but it wasn't the passion of mine. So clothing was, suits were, and that's what I found myself doing. I was always online. I was always in my tablet working my job instead of working this field that I was putting myself into.
Yeah.
So
and I'm the same.
Right.
I'm in the same boat. I'll be at the station, either feeling with my photography stuff or learning more about it and stuff like that. And this way, it's kind of brought me to where I am right now.
Right.
And so I understand where you were. So as a custom clothier, mm-hmm. What part of what you do is different than being like a clothing designer?
So it's really not too much of a difference, mm-hmm. but it is. So it's really, so a custom clothier, we have certain and I always have to be careful because I don't want tutorialists biting me or other suit people coming for me, but there's always a set rules of a suit, right? And a designer has no real limits on what they can create or what they want to create. Mm-hmm. We create looks that go with what you're coming in here for. So you're coming in here for a suit, right? So we create things that kind of stay in that same lane of a suit. Mm-hmm. We teach you about the different makes of a suit, the different little things that are part of it, that you kind of learn what a suit looks like. We can make some changes, but a lot of people don't step outside of the normal comfort zone of a suit, because when you go to get a tailored suit, you don't think of getting your own design of maybe the buttons going like this. you kind of stick with the regular, and that's what a designer, I would say a fashion designer does. They create,
hop out the box, and
they create brand new looks, and some of them you don't even know it's a suit because it's one piece. Well, that's not a suit anymore, so then that wouldn't come to us, per se.
Got you. Okay. Because I see like designers and custom clothing, I'm like, I don't really know the difference. So with this just me being as ignorant as I came in out the street, with would you say designers more deal with women and women clothes, or?
Yes.
Because this is just me.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like it's a whole lot of wiggle room with a suit.
So there is.
Yeah.
There really is. So it's one of those things that when we sit down with a person to create a suit, right? Mm-hmm. They don't understand that they're looking at like 40 different questions on details for the suit.
Yeah.
And there's been many a times that, a son would come with their family, mm-hmm. and the sister would be like, "Are you guys are still working on the jacket? Y'all still asking questions about the jacket?" Like, it's just so many details, from how many buttons you want here,
right.
What color do you want the button, like what kind of stitch do you want on the ends here, mm-hmm. Also, what kind of shoulder do you want, what kind of padding do you want, do you want light padding, broad padding, deconstructed, full lining, half lining, 2 buttons, 1 button, 3 button, double breast, single breast, 2 and 4, 6 and 1, pick stitch, peak, notch, shawl lapel. Just it's a lot
you
of little.
Put me through a lot right now. I'm thinking like, damn. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm just talking about the jacket. I'm not talking about anything else.
Yeah.
Because then it comes to a whole nother thing with the pants. It's all experience that we provide. But I was saying that to say, women. So women's suits. So designers would do a lot more with women. Mm-hmm. Women are a little bit more constricted in suits. Mm-hmm. A lot of clothiers are not fans of making women's suits. I'm trying to be careful because
it's PC
because it's also me talking for a full group of people.
Right.
If I say myself, I don't mind working with women. There are more struggles. There are a little bit more detail that we have to take into consideration. Right. But women have so many different choices. They can do short coat. They can do a long coat. They can do a regular. They can do skirts. They can do a long skirt, short skirt, pants, and different ways of doing these pants, and shirts and jackets. And there's just so many extra details that women have that make it a little bit more difficult to create with them. And not them as a general, but just the work is a little bit more tedious.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm trying to make sure I'm speaking for myself and not so much for everybody.
Unless you nitpick, and I think people kind of understand, like, well, you don't speak for me, but people will nitpick too.
Yeah,
so.
That's just the way life is. Yeah.
But just so we clear, he's talking for himself.
Right.
Whoever's out there.
But designers, they have women's attire and clothes can be anything. Right. You can do so much with women's clothes because there's no expectations that they have in regards to what it should look like.
Right.
Men have more restrictions on what things should look like without looking not manly, I guess.
Yeah.
The best way to say what's considered manly.
Right.
So they can do anything. They can have an androgynous look, something that looks like a man's suit, or they can have a suit that looks like a woman's suit that's tight in all these different ways. So I don't want to go into a long conversation because I can, but
I completely understand because we talk about the stuff that I'm into. Yeah. Like when I was explaining to you like why these cameras can only go 20 minutes instead of 1, I was like, let me stop myself.
Because it'd be a
long... I go on a whole tangent about this stuff. And it's like, I don't want to bombard anybody on my stuff because I feel like maybe they don't care. But sometimes people want to know. So, like right now, just in the situation we in with the, me not being prepared as I thought I was.
Nah, you good.
So I don't want to delve too deep into it, but I'm sure we will later on because, like I said, this whole thing is about getting deep into what what we know nothing about.
Yeah.
As a but as a coming out of high school.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So I want to get as deep as I can, but it's gonna be a process.
Okay.
Right now I'm kind of just scratching the surface, saying like, hey, this path is out there for you if you so choose.
Right.
So as far as we spoke about you being a man of Fort Worth, is your business mostly based in Fort Worth or you all over the place?
So for the most part, we're based in Fort Worth, but we travel nationwide.
Okay.
So I've flown many places to do business. Right. Portland, Oregon. I've been to New York to do business. Atlanta, Florida. I've New Orleans. I've went to New Orleans to do some football players.
Yeah.
But we travel everywhere.
Right.
I like to say that we're international. We haven't went international yet, but I would like to say it. But we pretty much we service anybody everywhere.
Okay.
Plenty of Dallas people come out here, so it's just not a Fort Worth exclusive type of thing.
You just based here.
Right.
Okay. So when you go out of town to these places, say you go to Portland, are you going for one suit? Are you going for a group of people, or?
I'll go for one suit.
Okay.
So the way that it works is, so we were talking about people having to set consultations. Well, they have to book your time. So they're booking in your time. So basically they pay a consultation fee before we get there.
Right.
And there's an in-state consultation fee, in-city consultation fee, and then there's an out-of-state consultation fee. So once they've made that payment of the out-of-state consultation fee, or if they want to do online consultations, we do that as well. I fly out directly to them, and we take care of the suits. So regardless, our whole thing is about the experience, because if you're ever going to be a self-employed person, you have to figure out what is it that you bring that'll be different from anybody else, and that's in every category, because there's so many people doing the same thing like you were talking about in journalism. There has to be some niche about you. Well, ours is we make you feel personal. We make it personal. We make it at home, and we make you feel comfortable about working with us, right? So if I'm willing to fly all the way out there, I'm not flying out there just because I got 3 or 4 other people. I'm flying out there because I just got you, and that's who I'm coming to see. I'm sitting down with you, and we're gonna make this happen. So it's and I can respect that. I can respect that. So let's say I'm Dalen. I just knocked on your door. Hey Frank, I heard about you in the magazine, Fort Worth magazine or whatever. Right. I just wanted to know, how can I be a custom clothier? What do I need to do to get started?
To get started, what I need to do.
So right now there's a few people that I'm actually kind of training to be a clothier and to have their own business. Because it's in real life, like everybody has this cutthroat type idea, and we talked about that earlier. But there's a lot of money out there. There's a gang of money.
There's no limits.
There's no limits. And if everybody in Dallas Fort Worth alone, or just Fort Worth alone, and was like, I'm only messing with Frank. If they said that, then I wouldn't have time to mess with everybody, because I'd be constantly busy. So you have to have other people out there doing the work, whether they're under you or whether you help them come up. But either way, I'm not going to be missing out on money, because there's more money out there, right? So with these clothiers, I kind of sit down with them, and we just kind of get an understanding of where they are with their suit knowledge, with their clothier knowledge. And then I tell them the first step is research. Like you have to know the craft before you step into it. So
it's big.
Yeah, and that's
go ahead.
But
I was about to get on my bag. Okay.
No, but there's a lot of stuff to it. So one of the things is not to step too far from what we're talking about, but college, the purpose of college. You always have to understand
I know what you're about to say, because it's been turning my wheels for
what's
about
the purpose of college? The purpose of college is to go and learn information to be ready for the work world, right? And the work world is not the self-employed world per se, it's the workers world, right? So I always say, well, you have to look at what school brings in general. High school brings this thing to where they give you enough knowledge that where if you sit in class long enough, you and pay attention, you can learn it and you can pass everything you need to do. College, if you sit in class and you listen and learn, and that's all you do, you're going to fail, because college is not about just what's taught in class. It's about what's studied outside of it. So college teaches you how to research, how to maintain the information, how to maintain and retain the information, and then put it out, right? So the whole real purpose I feel about college is it teaches you, this is what we're going over. This is what the subject is. Go learn it. Study it for yourself. Find it and put it in and learn it enough to push it out to get a good grade. So it just teaches you how to research what you're trying to learn and what you're trying to do, which falls into real life. If you want to be a clothier, first thing you need to do, start researching tailors that you can work with. Or if you're learning to do it yourself, well, let's find some fabric mills for you. but you have to research and find out why their fabric is better than these people's fabric, and what the difference is, and why theirs costs that and this. So you have to. It's all about researching and learning the game, because you can always come to a person and say, I want to learn the game, but if you're not ready, like if you you can go to. I don't want to go into a long metaphor because I do.
Go for it.
But it's one of those things, like in sports, you can always go to the coach and say, I want to play football.
Right.
He'll be like, okay, well, I'll put you on the field. You can run some drills, and that's cool. But if you're not training, if you're not learning, if you're not sitting down and learning the plays and actually understanding what's going on, then you'll just be that dude that just comes in and plays and sits on the bench majority of the time, because you're not actually ready for the game.
Right.
So it has to be a gang of research. It has to be some self-taught, self-training, and self-learning, so you can understand the game.
Yeah, because when you started, I was ready, like, yeah, you right. You so right. Because people, I've been messaged on Instagram, or they hit me through the website or whatever, and I'm like, hey, I want to take pictures just like you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
well, that's cool.
Tell me where you are right now. Well, I don't really have a camera yet.
Well, you're not ready.
I haven't really looked at color schemes. I haven't really looked at any editing. So what you mean editing? Like you're
not ready.
Yeah, let's revisit this when you learn a little bit more.
Right.
I said I'm the best at what I do, but I've done enough to get where I am. Like I know my skill set, and I know I've been doing this for about 2 years now. Maybe give or take. I don't know, give or take 2 years. For the first year, when people started saying, "Oh, your work is nice," I wouldn't call myself a photographer. I would say I'm a firefighter, and I have a camera and I take pictures. I didn't know how to be a photographer, but I didn't know anything about lights and shadows and all this, because shadows are just as important as light. People don't understand that part of it. But that's a little bit deeper. But if you come to me saying, like, I want to be what you are, that's disrespectful. Not to me, but that would be disrespectful for somebody to come knock on your door and say, hey, I want to make suits. I don't know nothing about suits. Teach me everything I need to know. It's like, man, I don't have time.
Right.
Two, what do you think I've been doing these past couple years? It's like I had to work to get here, and you want to come walk in the door and say, I'm good enough to be you without doing any research. You got to put your own leg work in and all that. And so that was my whole kick on that, because I just feel like you got to have respect for your craft before you can just say I'm good enough to do this now. I feel like if you want to do it, you ask me what did I do to get there, and then you go do your thing. Get you where you're teachable.
Right.
Like don't try to be me. Try to do what I do is one thing, but don't try to be me. Don't try to take my DNA and put it in yourself.
So one thing I do, like if somebody knocks on the door, to gauge how much they really want it, I tell them to book a consultation. Right. Because the first thing is you need to see what I do, but you also have to pay for the knowledge. And it weeds out the people that are for real about it and the people that are just trying to waste your time. Because even me spending time to teach you or just to show you to go through these things can be a waste of time if you do nothing with it. Right.
So it has its own value.
Right. So if now you find out, okay, well, I got to pay $75 to sit down and talk to this dude, let me see what I can learn myself first.
Right.
So when you start researching, you find you weed yourself out or not. You start researching, you start learning, you start trying to figure it out yourself. And then when you get to a point to where you come back and you say, I've done the research, I've done some stuff, I just got a few questions for you. Right. Then that actually makes me determine if I need to even charge you a consultation fee or not, because I know that you showed yourself approved, and you showed that you actually wanted to do it for real. And it's not just something you're just coming to me for. Because in real life, and I know you were just putting something together. In real life, you would knock on my door, you would have researched me, and you would have called me and messaged me beforehand. Right. But yeah. So what I've learned in life is the path that you're supposed to be on, or that you should follow, is your heart and what your love is. Right. And it literally rolls from one thing to the next. Because it's not something you necessarily stumble in, but you can flow into it. Everything flows correctly, right? So I say that in regards to beforehand. You remember I told you I was a rapper, and I told you how it flowed into me being a stylist, and how it flowed into me being a producer and director, and then back into stylist, and how it just flowed into being a clothier, and how everything continues to flow.
Right.
But it all was based on loves that I had. So I had a love for music, I had a love for fashion, and all those things just kind of flowed, and God kind of just walked me through everything and made things happen. The doors just opened.
Right.
But it's about flowing with it and not being afraid to ask for that help. Right. So finding what your love is, finding what drives you and what you really care about and what your mind is majority of the time, and then finding a mentor. So even if somebody was to come to me and ask me that, but they've done the work and they've been doing the work and they're still trying to learn it, then it's good to find somebody that can help you walk through the process, that don't mind, and that's not I don't want to say backbiter, but somebody who really wants to see you succeed and wants to see more from you, right? So make sure that you're willing to go out and find that help and find somebody and take seminars and take classes and research all these type of things to find out what you want to do and what about it you'll be best at, what your niche is. Right. So yeah, I don't know.
This whole thing of how I got right here where I am now, like I never had a desire to do video. Yeah. You know, the whole photography thing, it just popped up. Yeah. When my daughter was born, I wanted a nice camera to take pictures. You know, and I took the pictures, and then I put the camera up for about 6 months. Forgot all about it, and I don't even know why I picked it up again. But I was in paramedic school, and I told somebody, I said, I think I'm gonna do this photography thing, because I pulled the camera and I started taking better pictures. And he was like, hey, I got some people, they just got engaged. They need some engagement photos done. I'll pay for it, so you don't have to worry about that part. He said, pay for it? I said, yeah, I do it. You know what I'm saying? So I got out there, and I wasn't good. Yeah. I was better than the iPhone. You know, so I got out there and I was nervous, hands were shaking. I was sweating, and the pictures turned out good, but it was like I was saying earlier, so many rules that I didn't know. Yeah. That some of the pictures, they weren't printable. Just simply the format of the photo. So you got like 8x10, 11x14, 11x14, 16x20, and I'm here doing 16x9s.
Oh, so yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's, when you go to print the pictures, like you couldn't have the picture off almost. Right. So they said, you did a really good job. We can put them on websites. And I was like, I don't even know why they said that. So doing more research and learning, I was like, oh. So I went back and looked at the photos that I did for them, and I put them in the correct format. And I was like, dang, these were good pictures. But, you know, I'm cutting you off right here on some of the pictures. So that was how I got kind of rolling in the photography. And it just kind of went on and on from there. And I fell in love with the photography part of it. So I knew I was going to do that. I knew that for sure. And then just like I was telling you also about going to Dallas and seeing that side of the city I had never seen before. Right. On my own, because you don't, unless you know people in those places, you don't really go over there. You know, I work in Oak Cliff now. I got family in Oak Cliff, so I would go to see my family, and I go back to Lancaster. And they didn't live bad. Yeah. Some people do. Right. You know, and it's people next door to them, down the street from them. It's like, and it's a lot of it though. So I saw that and I'm like, man, what's going on? So we get calls to Carter High, South Oak Cliff, and you just see how the kids are. And you're like, man, y'all should know better than some of the stuff you're doing. And I said, I'm not a shining example of what you should be as a teenager, not even as a man. Right. But I know, you know, life is learning, and there's some stuff that, you know, I learned in high school. And I feel like you should have learned stuff like that way before. But it's yeah. And that's why I've gotten here now, because I can't teach manners. Like, I'm not going back to teach manners, but I'll step in and say things when I can, you know. But I just remembered not knowing what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, because it wasn't so much about, when I first started thinking about this, it wasn't so much about the kids in high school. It was the kids, you know, between 18, 25, 26, something like that, who now you're an adult. And there's no guessing. Like, if you're 16, you do something, they may charge you as an adult. If you're 18,
oh yeah, you the adult, 100%. Yeah,
yeah, and you know, looking like us, depending on who your judge is, who the police are, like they they don't have a ounce of regret,
or sympathy,
ounce
or
of
anything.
leniency. It's like throw the book at them. So just having an avenue, having a path away from that. That's what I wanted this to be. Just, you know, I might help one person,
Right?
you know, but it's more than I would help if I didn't do this stuff at all.
And I was gonna say that goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, before the camera. You remember how you were talking about the ties, people tying their tie, and you thought they knew beforehand,
right.
but it's so many things that we always think that people should know, and they just don't know.
Yeah.
Like they've just went through a path that every time that message or lesson was supposed to be taught, they were already going a different way, or they had already missed it, or it had already been taught. And I'm always thinking about that, kind of like, here's my example. I'm not good at nouns, pronouns, adverbs, verbs, adjectives, whatever they are. I don't know what they are. I know what a noun is. I know what
I get it.
some of the stuff. I don't know what everything is though, right? And I say that being a guy who took AP classes, who took like the honor classes all through college, all through high school. But the way that I was in going through school, it was a lesson that I was continuously missing, right? So I went to a lot of elementary schools when I was younger. I started off my first and second grade. I went to a school called pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade. I went to a school called White Lake.
Okay.
And I learned how to write and all these my alphabets and all this other stuff. Then second grade, I went to a school called Oasis. She taught me how to write in cursive. Then I went to third grade. In third and fourth grade, I went to a school called M.N. Walton. There I learned math, and I learned a lot of math, and a little bit of English, but just a lot of math. Now, the fourth grade and the fifth grade years when they were starting to go into nouns and pronouns and adverbs and all that type of stuff. Yeah. When they started going into that, at that school, I transferred to a school called David K. Sellers. Well, at David K. Sellers, they already went through adverbs, noun, verb, all that type of stuff in third and fourth grade. Now they were on math. Yeah. So now I'm going back into fifth grade. Right. I'm going to fifth grade, and I'm learning math that I already knew. So they all saying, "Oh, he's so ahead. Yeah. He knows everything. He's good at it." So they started giving me AP classes and extra classes and doing all this stuff. Cool. So now I've missed the whole wave of stuff that I'm supposed to learn in grammar.
And the thing about that, you don't even know that you don't know it.
I don't know that I don't know it. I just know that everybody's saying I'm smart and I'm ahead. Yeah. But I'm behind a little bit. Right. So then I continue to go to another school. I'm in Magnet program. Magnet is high education, apparently, right? So 6th, 7th, and 8th, I'm in the Magnet program. I'm taking these Chem classes, AP classes, all these classes, and I'm ahead. But the thing is, I don't know how to properly structure a sentence or how to say certain words. So I didn't know the difference between there, THERE, THEIR, and THEYRE. I didn't know the difference in those things until I became an adult in my 30s. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yes, So I'm missing all these great things that everybody knows the difference of. R, A-R-E, O-U-R, and I knew what O-R was, but I didn't know the difference between A-R-E and O-U-R. Yeah. I go through college, I go through all these things. I didn't find this stuff out until I'm in my 30s. Yeah. And late 20s, and everybody's like, this is stuff you should know. Yeah. Well, I know a lot of stuff. Like people consider me to be wise, which I have no earthly idea why.
It's the beard, man.
That's the beard. That's all it is. But it's these small things that I don't know that I should know. And I'm saying that to say there's a lot of behavioral things. There's a lot of education things. There's a lot of small things that we expect people to know, but we take for granted and just expect them to know it and think they're not acting on it. But it's just stuff that needs to be taught. Right. It's the basics that still need to be ran over. It's just kind of like people say, why do we continue to read the Bible, or why do we continue to say Bible scriptures to the same people all the time? Well, they might not missed it, and you might have thought they was there and they caught it, but they didn't. They missed the message.
Right.
So we got to show it again. We got to teach it again.
Right.
We got to keep putting it back into them, because we don't know who caught it and who just got transferred to another school.
Yeah, exactly. I guess
You can't expect people to know that they're doing wrong, or that they're because they just might not be aware.
Right.
It's kind of like when I look at my Facebook memories. When I look at my Facebook memories and I see the captions and the statuses that I used to post, I used to say, man, I did not reread anything that I wrote.
When I tell you, when I graduated, I went and deleted every post
from the past.
Yeah, that I thought might come back to haunt me. I was in there for hours. I was like, what was I on?
Because it wasn't that. It's just you didn't understand where you were.
Right.
And you learned.
There were things like, especially like, time changes. So stuff you could say back then that you can't say now. But also it's just stuff where, where I've grown as a person. Yeah. And it may not be offensive to somebody else, but I'm like, that's not who I want to represent myself to be. So I'm gonna hit delete on that one too.
See, but I left it there. I left it there for me to just see where I've come from, how far I've came. Yeah. And then some of them I would actually, because when you write on a status, it'll pop back into the timeline. Yeah. I would write on there and correct my my statement.
See, okay.
So I wouldn't even be tripping. It was just the fact that, again, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know how to write. But it's just one of those things too. That's why it's so important for us to give back, like, community time and just experience. And so I was talking to you about my nonprofit. My nonprofit organization is called Community Frontline. Right. So basically, one of the things that we do, so I was telling somebody today, it's kind of interesting what we do and how we do it. So we originally call ourselves a Uber, right? And then the best description of that is, we find people who want to get involved, who wants to do things in the community, and we find out how they want to be involved. And instead of reinventing the wheel or recreating a nonprofit that does that, we find one that's actively doing it, and we plug them into that. Gotcha. But at the same time, we still have things that we have going on, and those same people, they still volunteer and would like to be a part of the things that we do. Right. So like last Friday we did movie night. And we did it at the Martin Luther King Center. So you already you know where Martin Luther King Center is. Right. It's just in the hood. Any Martin Luther King is just in the hood, right? But we did it in my old hood, Stop 6. And we do this every quarter. We show a movie there. We blow up this big blimp, and we show a movie projector on it, a movie night. We give out popcorn, popcorn, soda, water. We gave out books this time, children's books, and we just kind of talk to the kids. We do hot chocolate in the winter and cold times, but it's all free, and we just want to give back to the community and want people to feel safe in their own communities again. Right. So by doing that, we want to kind of change the narrative of what people are hearing about the community and make them feel more like, find pride in it. Like, I just watched a movie in the middle of my area, it's a neighborhood, and it was safe, and it was a whole bunch of families there, and it was friends and kids just playing. And so we want to kind of change what people are saying and thinking. Right. We do community cleanups. We do all these different things. We do pass out food. We talk to children. We volunteer with all the nonprofits that we can, and we just do what we can. Okay. We do community forums as well, talking about all types of things that we feel are affect our communities, like economic development, gentrification. We talk about human trafficking for adults and children. Right. We talked about the last community forum we had. It was about Chicanos and Hispanics and how they affect our neighborhoods, or what they're doing in our neighborhoods. 287G and Ice Out. And what that is so basically we had Chicanos and Hispanics of descent, and they came out and talked about the different events they have in our communities, the different things that are happening in our communities. 287G, which is, and I hope I'm saying it right, but 287G is a move that the Senate had put forward, stating that any person with a badge can play ice. So they're talking about how they're trying to affect that and change it. Because the vote is coming back up for revote to put the program forward. But yeah, that's what we talk about, stuff that are actually affecting our people in our community, and we talk about just absent fathers in our households, culture and race, and dialogue on culture and race. So it's a room full of different people that don't look the same. Just talking about how what affects me, what affects you, how similar and how much is different. I don't know. We just get a lot of real conversations in there too. But it's if I'm talking too much, let me know too.
No, this is everything I need.
Okay.
You know, but whatever you want to tell me about, it's your time to shine.
Well, the thing about that too is we really push toward men. We push toward men to come out and talk and volunteer and be a part of the whole community front line. The reason we do that is because, and we're not trying to say no women. We want women to be a part of it. We don't have any problem with women being a part of it, because women are always a part of everything.
And you just you got to go out and get them.
You always got to get the men to work.
Yeah.
And it's a fault of ours. We're so focused on everything else, not like it's bad, but we're focused on making money for the household and coming home relaxing and kind of keeping it simple like that. But it's good for us to get out there, and we also invite kids to come with their parents. It's just a thing to where we want everybody to have pride in Fort Worth, but in their communities in general.
Right.
So that's why we really push for men to be leaders in this. So, yeah.
So I feel like that's one of the most. I think it's one of the most overlooked things during this period of major gentrification.
Right.
So me becoming an adult, 15, 12 years ago, or just, I say becoming an adult, like, navigating through this first part of manhood or whatever. So I feel like just now, in the past couple of years, I'm kind of, how can I put this? The veil is lifted over my eyes.
Right.
Because now I can kind of see for myself instead of what somebody else told me, and I trust them, so I just believe it, and I'm kind of looking for myself to see what's going on. So I don't know if I'm just now noticing gentrification or if it's just now happening the way it's happening. It's because growing up in Dallas, it looked way different.
Oh, yeah, the red line.
Yeah, because when was it Bishop Arts, North Oak Cliff, I had family over there growing up, and I went to Mississippi for 10 years. And I came back and I was like, where am I?
Yeah.
And they got high-rise buildings going up over there. Deep Elements completely different. It's like a lot of that now. And I don't know, because there was zero gentrification in Mississippi.
Right.
That's country. That's what you're going to get out there. So when I came back, I don't know if I'm just now noticing now, or if this has been going on for decades and I just kind of been blinded by either not just not being out there, or the information not being available.
It's been it's basically, and we did a study about that. We talked about gentrification about 2 months ago, but there was a plan that we had that showed how this has been in progress. This has been in the process for a long time. I don't even know, like 30 to 40 years or so. It's been a process going in place. But basically, there's areas that have been considered to be a red zone, right? And those are areas that are considered to be dangerous to live in. So the property value is lower, and you normally see the people that are driven toward those areas are minorities. Some of those areas have been considered red zone and not fit to live in because they were higher population of minorities alone. Like it wasn't based on anything going on in the area or warehouse areas or any of that type of stuff. It was just based on people of minorities being in that area. So they kind of put it to where they drove people into these certain areas because it was a lower income and these people could fit in it. And then they continue to uprise and grow in these other sections. And that's when the property value also gets low in those areas, they can start buying the property, right? And there's an episode of Boondocks that I always refer to that people miss the outer message of it because it's so Boondocks, and I don't know if you remember Boondocks like that.
Oh yeah,
but
every episode.
Yeah, Aaron McGruder, he would have these episodes where it would seem like it's based on one thing on the outer layer, but there's a whole nother message in it, right? So there was the episode where Pops had his own restaurant, the Itis. I don't remember what the name of the restaurant was, but it created the Itis, right? So they had the bagel burger with the all this type of stuff, and all these people in the community were eating it up and wanting it. But the way it first started was the Mr. White, I think that was his name. Mr. White came in and he was looking at the property, this park area that he wanted to buy. And they was like, you can't buy it. It's not for sale. And it's this much. And he was just like, nah, I don't want it. I'm gonna get it though. Don't worry. So then he goes to Mr. Freeman, and he eats and they all fall asleep at the table. They all get the itis. He says, we ought to open a restaurant. He said, I got a perfect place for you to open a restaurant. I'm going to put my money in and I'm going to back you. Mr. Freeman's restaurant is right across the street from the park that he wants. He brings them in. All these people, they were like, we'll create beds in there. They get to sleep and eat and all this other stuff and take a nap. All these people go in, they do this, they fall into itis, they become addicted to the burgers, and they hang around it, and the property value continues to fall in that area because of the crowd that he's bringing in and the lottering and all this other stuff. So what eventually happens is Robert's restaurant gets shut down. There's a whole bunch of people there, homeless and hungry and strung out on his food. The property value, the park is down low because it's homeless there. He buys it, re-cleans it up, moves everything out, and then he creates a new form of gentrification and building it the way he wants it to look. And that's just another example of what Boondocks does. But they kind of show you the process. The process is they move in people, they create this area where the property value drops to a place to where they can afford to rebuild it and buy all the land and create what they want. And that's a long message that I just did.
It's man, if you think about it too long, you get a little emotional about it.
Right.
Because I mean, I see it now more vividly than I've ever seen anything, before. Just because I'm there, all the time, and I see it. Because before I worked in Oak Cliff, I worked in South Dallas, and they're doing the same thing in both places. When I saw Starbucks go up, where Redberry Mall is, I'm like, man, it's coming.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's definitely coming, and because everything else is kind of like, I mean, it's say old and dilapidated, but it's as old as it looks like what you would expect it to look like. And you got some brand new Starbucks, and you got this sign for not rezoning, but like they gon' what's the word I'm looking for? Not refurbish. What's the word I'm looking for?
You said you're not talking about the rehabilitation, but the rehab.
Rehab, yeah, but that's
but
same thing. That's not the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But they're redoing Redberry Mall, well, Southwest Center, Redberry Mall, and I'm like, it's coming. Yeah. And it's going. So I was talking to somebody about actually putting some money into some property over there. Like, in Oak Cliff? Man, crazy. And they were like, would you pay this much money for a house over? I'm like, yes, because in a year, it's going to be, property value is going to be way up. But, so, in South Dallas, it's the same way. Like, I saw these new beautiful buildings going up. I'm like, man, where we going to go? I say where they going to go? Because once that happens, it's like you got to find somewhere to go. Because once the property values go up, I'm guessing they get pushed out.
Right.
So and I don't really know where else there is to go.
So I'm gonna tell you something that happened recently in an area for Worth. Cause I'm not gonna be. They know what it is, but there was a plan put in place maybe about, I'm not sure, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Where it was this rebuild this community, right? So they were saying that they were going to get so much money, millions of dollars, and they were going to use that money to rebuild that community. But they needed land. So they were encouraging people in the area to sell their land, and they were buying it for this certain amount. But people were doing it because they were excited about the changes that were going to come to help rebuild the area. Right before they got ready to start years later, they changed some stuff, and it was like, no, we're not going to do it anymore. But we are going to go ahead and break down. We are going to still shut down the projects. They were supposed to rebuild houses, a brand new set of houses and stuff to give them vouchers so they can move into those places.
Yeah.
And be able to move out the projects into these new housings. But then they shut it down, and it was like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. But we still gonna give you vouchers because we still tearing all this down. So that put them in a whole nother situation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they also had all this new property that had been resold to them.
Yeah.
So then they had buses, tour buses, full of people that didn't look like the community at all.
Right.
And they were taking them to the properties and showing them the properties so they could bid on it and buy the properties at city things. So what was happening was, it almost seemed like a trick to get all these properties brought in so they can get other people to come in and rebuild and buy this stuff. Also putting a lot of people out of their homes. But what a lot of people that I know are doing, they are going onto the city sites, finding these properties and rebuying them for the community. So I know some members of Community Frontline that are going out, and we are looking at properties and we are buying them so we can create this area of businesses. So we can create some form of Rosewood again.
Right.
And you know what Rosewood is, right?
Is it an area or the apartments?
So Rosewood was, and I know Rosewood was so there's a movie called Rosewood from the past, and that was, they say that movie was based on Black Wall Street. Because it was a black community. But I can't remember if that Rosewood was it or Rosewood was a whole nother separate thing as Black Wall Street. But I believe that it is what it is. But that's what we're wanting to recreate. A block of businesses, black-owned businesses, where people are making money that look like us and keeping it in the area.
One thing I do like about the time that we're in now is that we notice. Right. We know that this is going on. Just like, that scenario you just shared with us. People got tricked, for sure. They definitely got tricked. But there was time before where people got tricked, lied to, and then they couldn't do anything about it. Right. So it's like, oh man, we got tricked. Now we out. We out of a house, out of a place to live, out of whatever. But now it's like Community Frontline is doing, and other people, you can go and do something about it. You can go up and buy the properties back, and make something of the situation you were given. And that's the silver lining to me. Like, all this crap is happening, but we're not blind to it. We're not deaf to it. We know what's going on now, and we have the tools, resources, information, and partnerships.
But see, that's the kicker. That goes back to what we was talking about a while ago.
What's that?
The fact that, so 2 things, and we're at 2 minutes too. Okay. But 2 things. The first thing is, so there's still a form of ignorance out there, and people take ignorance as a negative word, but it's just a descriptive word that means
you just
don't know, right? So there's people out here, just like when you were telling your boy, let's buy some property, let's buy this. They don't see the value in it. So there's the ignorance of that. And then it's also an ignorance of those same people that are in the same seat we talked about earlier. They don't know that they can do it. They don't know that it's available. Even though they have the internet and all this type of stuff out there, there's still a lot of households in our urban communities or black communities or minority that don't have the internet. A lot of households. So they don't even get internet until they get their child to school or to another location. So they don't have the same resources that we think they have because it's just not available. So they don't know of all these different things that they could do or where they could put their money. We talked about how so many Hispanics households, they got I'm not going to cuss, but they got a whole gang of money from work that the household does, and they all pour into the same pot. If they wanted to go out and do this, they could do it, but a lot of them don't know. And then there are a lot that do know because they are buying houses and putting those houses together and building one big house. So it's there, but everybody don't know it's available overall.
Well,
but a lot more know.
So more know than before. I guess I'm still on, like, so we talked about it earlier about the kids who don't know, and you missed the adverbs and all that. That's my gray area of it's like I know these things, and I kind of got to get outside of myself and say, well, I know it doesn't mean people next door know, and what I've seen seems like people do know more than they used to, and I would assume they do, but I guess it's kind of what you do with the information, and kind of if you care about the information or seek that information out, because even with knowing, I know some people are still like, well, I got to put how much, and it's like, well, I don't know about that, because investments are scary to people.
It is.
I've made bad investments, you've made bad investments, and people like just the risk of the investment. And
then the return. If the return's not fast enough, they don't see the value in it. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's life.
Yeah.
Once I guess for me anyway, once I learned, you're gonna have the good and you gonna have the bad. Like, you try your best to look at the positive side of things. But I don't know, man. I just I appreciate the work that you're doing with Community Frontline, because those are plenty of steps in the right direction. Getting the word out, having a powwow with the people amongst the ranks or whatever. So I do appreciate the work. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come sit down and talk with you.
Oh, definitely.
I got a lot of respect for you. That's why I'm here. I wouldn't sit down with you if I didn't already respect what you were doing. I
appreciate it. I didn't know it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
So it's real. So with that, anything else you want to say?
Just one little thing. If anybody's interested in knowing more about Community Frontline, TCU did a documentary on Community Frontline, which they won a lot of film festivals around the nation for. But it's on YouTube. It's called Martin Luther King Won't Rise.
Okay.
And for people that don't understand that means a lot of us are always waiting on somebody to rise to come do the next thing, to do what's supposed to be done. But Martin Luther King's not going to rise. It just means you need to. We need the next person, the next Martin Luther King, or the next visionary. But it's on YouTube, and check it out. Also, quite _Frank on Instagram, quite Frank on Twitter, Franklin Moss on Facebook, franklinanthony.com on the internet, communityfrontline.com, and I appreciate being here.
Did you miss one?
I don't know.
F&A Customs?
Oh, that's on Twitter. Yeah, F&A Customs on Twitter.
Okay.
But I do appreciate this. This is a big deal to me.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate being a part of this.
All right, man. I just I'm honestly I looked at a number of things that kind of got me here to where I am now. Just the actual community that I work in, that I spend a lot of time in. People doing things in their own lane, and I'm trying to make this my lane as much. This whole video thing. Community Frontline seems to be a good one. And my whole thing with this is just, I'm not the guy. I'm the guy that introduces people to the guy.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's
so
me.
Right now you the guy. So it's.
Well, I mean, I'm the guy that introduces people.
Yeah.
I don't do the work.
Right now you're the guy that I'm introducing people to,
appreciate
and
that.
then you also introduce people to the guy.
Yeah.
So I can kind of, I don't say I model after you, but I kind of model after the whole thing. It's it's a good look, and I appreciate what you're doing. For Fort Worth, it's gonna be an awesome thing. I'm trying to see what I can get going closer to where I am.
Yeah.
Because Midlothian is gentrified.
Oh,
it was pre-gentrified.
I know. But
so it's
I'm not gonna talk on that. But go
it's
ahead.
it's a different fight out there for me.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of walking into where they are, and they looking at us like, what you doing here?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a different fight.
Well,
Similar fight.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say. Fort Worth is not too far.
Mm-hmm.
We are currently breaking grounds in Fort Worth. There are a lot more black-owned business owners out here that are coming. People don't know are here,
Mm-hmm.
and they own some of these companies and things out here that people don't even know that they own.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're breaking ground. I just did work with Visit Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you mention Visit Dallas too.
Yeah.
Earlier, but I just did some work with Visit Fort Worth to represent Fort Worth in New York.
Okay.
And that was pretty legit. So it kind of showed me that they're really making steps to kind of include more minorities into the look of Fort Worth.
Yeah.
So that was pretty legit.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I don't know if I seem like I'm just excited about where we could go.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm here. I'm just trying to push that thing forward.
Well, you got some
as
good
much
people.
as I can, the way I can do it. You know.
Got some good people gonna be on your show.
Yeah.
Are on your show.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know yet, but yeah.
Yeah. So this is my first one, but I talked to a good bit of people, and I'm thinking like this was good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that people they have the same energy.
Nah.
Because I've been in the situation before. We just kind of looking at each other. I'm like, well, I guess I asked this next question.
Well,
here, and
did you said you already did?
you my first one.
Okay, so when you do her, the one we were talking about,
Yeah.
just be ready to come with the energy because she got a lot of energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. I appreciate you sitting down.
No problem.